Polyvagal theory proposes that when an individual is in a situation of severe life threat and is unable to utilize mobilization strategies or social engagement strategies to get out of that, the neuroceptive features of that challenge may put that person in this very shut down condition that is characterized by that old unmyelinated vagus. And coupled with that would be reduced blood flow, especially blood flow to the brain, and then one might get dissociative features with that. And the issue is really not the horrendous experience of the trauma, but trying to make sense of the physiological response that that traumatic event triggered. And for many people who've been traumatized, the event is bad enough, but the consequences of that event on their physiology and on the nervous system is really what is profoundly changing their ability to adapt in the world. Who have been hurt, I mean, it's not even metaphorically, I mean, people who have been really hurt find it difficult to create relationships, even though on a cognitive level, it has a very, very high priority in their lives. It's something they want. And they desperately want it. But their bodies are saying no. And part of what I am trying to do is to explain to an individual what their body has done. Their body has not done something bad. It's actually, many times, has saved their lives. It's enabled them to really suffer without, in situations, not fighting back is very adaptive. You won't get killed. And so there are a lot of adaptive functions of surviving through immobilization or dissociation. The question is how's your personal narrative? How do you use that information to see who you are? Do you see yourself as victim, or do you see yourself now as heroic?
Empathy is a necessary and uniquely human emotion. Whether we realize it or not, we're constantly reading people to find out what they're feeling. It's because of the brain's vagus nerve that our feelings are often written all over our faces. Dr. Stephen Porges explains.
So when we look at people, and many of the people on the call or watching this video are clinicians, and they always look at people, or at least they should look at people. And when they look at people, they often can tell how a person is feeling. And part of it is because the nerves that control all the striated muscles of the face and head are linked in the brainstem to this myelinated smart vagus. So in a sense, we're wearing our heart on our face. But again, insightful clinicians and insightful people know that. It's not merely the muscles of the face that are showing it, but the muscles that control vocalization. So when we talk to a person on a phone, we can say to them, "Oh, what's the matter?" Right? Mm-hmm. Because the voice is not modulated, doesn't have the prosodic, the intonation features. Because the neural regulation of the larynx and pharynx that create prosody are shared in the brainstem with the neural regulation of that smart myelinated vagus. Prosodic voice is intonation, so it's versus a monotone. So prosody is the modulation of pitch. Think of a mother's lullaby as she calms the child. That's prosodic vocalizations. And as clinicians and as social human beings, we're much more interested in the intonation of the voice than we are in the content.
The polyvagal theory is a new understanding for how the entire nervous system works. And with that, it gives us incredible implications for how to control your body, your brain, other people's bodies, their brains, in ways that might seem impossible, as well as lends specifics to concepts that might have been left to the abstract, things like trauma. And the way we do this is in a sense we're going to call neuroception. What neuroception is, this is the way our bodies unconsciously scan the world around us and look for signs of safety and signs of danger and use that information in order to influence all of these things in our bodies that we don't constantly control. Every time you meet somebody, your neuroception is scanning them and saying, are you safe or are you dangerous? And the answer to that question tells you everything. I think neuroception is instant. Neuroception is automatic. When you meet somebody, you don't think to yourself, I like this person, I'm going to open up. It just kind of happens. When you meet an animal, you don't think to yourself, that's a safe animal. It just sort of is known by your body. And so the thing about neuroception is that this external force, this ability to have outside forces hit our nervous system, is so powerful that it allows us to actually physically control our own bodies and other people's bodies in ways that are actually very, very surprising. Depending on the sounds you hear and the lights you hear and the sense of safety you get about anything you meet in the world, a lot of things change about your body and about your nervous system. And the old model for how the nervous system works, that there's this sympathetic system and parasympathetic, and there's just 2 states, that's not really the truth. In fact, there's 3 states. And this is something that even, are there any neuroscientists out here tonight? No, there's like 3, right? Yeah, come on. I mean, now you're like, no, I was taught in school that there's just these 2 things, but you're wrong. So there's 3. And I'm going to view this as like a traffic light. So every time you meet somebody or meet a thing or animal, your body has to kind of determine how safe are you. And it does this, let's just feel like a traffic light. So if you feel that person is safe, this green light hits. If you feel this person is dangerous, this yellow light hits. And if you feel this person is more than dangerous, the red light hits. And that's a system that we're going to talk about that has not been acknowledged by the scientific community until very, very recently. And it explains everything. So first of all, this mode you're in, how your body interprets the outside world and internalizes it, this is your autonomic state. It's completely involuntary and it changes everything about your body. Nothing is the same. This is everything. Depending on your autonomic state, your body completely transforms. You might not turn green like the Hulk, but you might as well, because everything inside your body is different depending simply on how safe you feel. And this is the filter through which you experience the entire world. Smells smell differently, tastes taste differently, sights seem different. The same person or experience when you're feeling one way will come off to you as pleasant. The same person when you're feeling upset will come off a different way. And that's because autonomic state is the single most important thing for how you actually experience the world. Now first let's talk about this green state. This is that parasympathetic state, the Bruce Banner state. This is the safety state. So when your green state is activated, you feel safe, you feel good, and your body transforms. Your heart rate slows down, your saliva and digestion are stimulated, the cranial nerve that activates your facial muscles is activated, so when you can talk to people, you have more emotion, facial expression, you have increased vocal prosody and eye contact with people around you. And this is really cool. These tiny little middle ear muscles in your head, they activate, and what they allow you to do is pick up the frequencies in the mid-range that are associated with human voice. This is so you can actually pick up the sounds of people talking, even in loud and crowded environments. The human voice is very special to the brain for somewhat obvious reasons, but it's only special when you feel safe. So the next zone is the yellow zone. This is what happens when you're in danger. When here your heart speeds up, your pain tolerance goes up, you get flat facial affect, and those middle ear muscles I described, they actually shut down. What that allows you to do is instead of hearing the middle frequencies associated with human speech, you hear super low frequencies and super high frequencies. These are what we call predator sounds. This is the sound of a panther in the brush or a screaming person in pain, because your body is expecting danger. And instead of thinking, I'm going to be diplomatic and talk to people, it's thinking to itself, I got to look out for scary things. So when you feel danger, your audiology signal shifts, and you actually hear different frequencies at different volumes, which is pretty crazy. And this is the red zone. Red does not show up on the screen. This is the, there we go. Thanks, guys. This is the life-threatening situation. And this is the system that, up until now, has not widely been acknowledged by the scientific community. So to understand this, we need to understand that when people are in extreme danger to the point where their nervous system thinks they're about to die, different things happen to them. They do not fight or flight. They do not run. They do not get activated. What happens to them often is they freeze and they shut down. And this is very interesting because understanding the system explains everything about trauma, as well as numerous other psychiatric issues.
book, let's just start with that, and who that we're going to be covering is, he's a researcher and a clinician, and his name is Stephen Porges. And the book title,
it's a mouthful. It's a Polyvagal Theory, the foundation of emotions, attachment, communication, and self-regulation.
well, I thought I would start with a very embarrassing example. Is that going to be okay?
Sure.
Let's do it.
We'd be delighted to hear your example.
Exactly. It'd be delighted for me to humiliate myself. But speaking of humiliating myself, actually, let me give an update for our listeners that we are super excited about